Well, it's one of those few times that I don't have much to say. So I know you probably find that hard to believe.
But you're going to say it anyway.
Can there be any doubt of the support that you have here for the band program, parents and kids? I mean, you just look at this showing here tonight. I mean, they gave up their evening to come up here and to just introduce this gentleman is because it's important, and they can see the quality of the program that we've had here, the hard work that the boys have done, what they've been able to achieve, and I think everybody wants that to continue, especially. So that's why I was really kind of tough on some of the candidates when we did the interviewing. But I just want you to know, and I've said this to many people, that I feel like that God called me to come to this place. And I just felt like it was time for me to do something else. And I couldn't imagine God calling me out and not calling a quality person His choice in here. I really believe that Mr. Dale Sharkey is that man. When we went through the interview process, it was pretty clear that Dale possessed that he was the kind of man that you would want working with your kids, parents. He had the skills and the experience to do the job and to take it forward. And it would be very hard for me to walk off this campus or drive off this campus and know that it was not in the good hands of a quality band director. But it worked out that he definitely is. And as you get to know Mr. Dale Sharkey, I think that you're going to see that that is definitely the case. I mean, he's not some guy that just came fresh out of college. I mean, he's been there and done that. He built the program at Fort Zumwalt West. From the inception of that school, he went in and built that program. And so he's been there, done that, and he's probably seen it all. But he hasn't worked with our guys yet, but he's going to find out pretty soon. We spent the morning listening to CBC Jazz auditions in the black box with headphones, and it was a unique experience. And I'm sure at some point he's going to want to release the results of that audition. So thank you so much for coming tonight. It really shows how much you care. And I just want you to know, the reason I'm recording this is because I got a lot of emails that are like, oh, we're out of town and we wish we could be there and that sort of thing. So I'm going to produce Mr. Sharkey's remarks and put it up on the Band of Brothers YouTube channel. So I guess this is my last time to say this, but thank you all so much. It was a great time being here, and we accomplished a lot. We had some great memories, but I know we're going to have some coming up. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you the new director of bands, Mr. Dale Sharkey. I used to not have any program, and I've got something I can share with you.
Is this the mark to stand on?
You stand anywhere you want to. I got you.
Yeah, stands the purple question. Like Mr. Benton said, I was at Zumwalt West for 15 years, and you're probably aware colors were purple, so I have a little bit of purple in my wardrobe. However, 2 years ago, I actually left there, was at a point in my life and my career where I was ready for a change and for something different. So I moved back to Canada. I said back to Canada as in that's where I was born and raised, so I am a hockey fan. I like 3-down football. Well, I'm okay with 4-down football. I've gotten used to it after 25 years. I was there for about a year, and just the way things were working out family-wise, and the job market up there, plus the really, really long, cold winter of epic proportions that year, made me think, maybe that change needs to be somewhere in Missouri. So I moved back down here last summer and have been a hall monitor out in the Rockwood district. I also have taught an after-school beginning band at a charter school in the city, KIP Academy. I think the guys told me we do have some students that come here from there every once in a while. So that's where I've been for the last couple of years, and I'm just really excited to step into a situation like this. I've known Mr. Benton. It's been at least 10 years that we first met each other through different music things, probably judging at a festival or something along those lines. And I know that everything he has done in his life has been just the absolute highest quality in terms of music and band. So I was very, very excited for this opportunity. I've driven past here on Highway 40, like many people, many times, and I live just over by Creve Coeur Lake by Parkway North High School, and I thought, boy, that would be a great place to end up. It's 10 minutes from where I live. I'm like, yeah, this guy's probably there. I don't even know who it is. He's probably going to be there for decades. And lo and behold, no, he was ready to retire again. So just very excited to be here. Obviously, I love music. I love band. I met a couple students this morning in the beginning band class, and they asked me what instrument I played, and I had them guess. I think your definition of play is very wide. I can produce a sound on probably everything in this room. Outside of brass, percussion, guitar, bass, those are probably the ones you might pay to hear me play. If it has a reed, you're probably not going to want to pay to hear me play, because that's definitely my weaker area. But in terms of can I, make sound on them, do I know what to do on those instruments? Absolutely. It's just, I think, too many fingers is probably the problem. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. In terms of the program going forward, I think the best place for me to start is to just step in where the program is. I don't have any visions at this point of making any brand huge changes to things, because I think what Mr. Benton has set up the last couple of years is working at this point. So I think my position on that would be that I want to take that and see where there's some areas of growth and the potential to expand and build the program up from there as well. So that's kind of my vision here in a nutshell after 3 or 4 days. Does anybody have any questions? There's probably one that's on people's minds, so I'll...
You know who'll be taking it and out of town?
Is that a plan? Was that a planted? Was that planted?
I think the easiest answer for me right now is I don't know. I'm very open to that. I'm not against that. I've done a lot of travel with bands in the past, so it will probably depend more on, do we have something that will work with the calendar and work with what our goals are as a band and a band program. So, we're going to start looking into that. Mr. Benton has already given me some contact information, and we'll move forward. And I would say, if at all possible, I would love to do that. Yes?
How many years have you spent directing bands?
Well, I taught 19 years here in Missouri. While I was back in Canada, I did work with a community-based marching band for part of the year. So I was drum major in college when I was at Mizzou, 25 years, somewhere in that area.
And that would include both jazz and marching bands?
Yep, jazz band, marching band, concert band, everything. Percussion ensemble. I've also taught guitar, probably 15 out of the 19 years I taught guitar class. So yeah, pretty much everything you've got going on here, I've done at some point.
Are you keeping studio band? Or are you going to turn that back into concert band?
At this point, studio band is what we've got.
That's
So am I going to turn it back into concert band? I don't know. We'll see. See what the future brings. I would love to have a concert band, but I don't know that that would necessarily mean doing away with studio band. The future, I think the possibilities are pretty wide open is what we can do in the future. Yes?
Aside from teaching, what's your background in performing music?
Most recently, I have performed in a worship band at a place called Celebration Church out in St. Peters, Missouri. Most of that was guitar and bass and a little bit of singing. Right now I play trumpet in the O'Fallon Community Band, and then just off and on throughout the years, I've played in various musicals and jazz combos here and there. Yes?
Is it okay if we call the band room the Shark Tank?
We already caught it.
Good one.
Genius.
I'm good with that. Trumpet player, right? No. Drummer. Oh, you're the drummer. Where's the drummer? There's the trumpet player. Yeah. Good. Some creativity in the drum section. We like it. All right. Anything else?
Can a parent ask a question?
Absolutely.
Are you going to continue with the smart music?
Absolutely. Yep, without a doubt.
Shucks.
I think, and even I've used it myself, as a matter of fact, for learning parts and working on stuff. I think it's one of the best tools that really has ever come around in terms of helping music education.
You got to hear about 22 kids play instruments today, and they weren't even here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like I've used it in the past at Zoom Alt West, and one of to me, the greatest things about that is I can sit on my sofa at night and got the Cardinals game on, and yeah, I mean, watching baseball can be pretty slow, and I can be popping smart music tests into my ear, and yep, that one was good, great, and move on, so absolutely. Yes?
What are your plans of playing at the football games and basketball?
We will play football games and basketball games. How we're gonna do that? At this point, like I said, I'm gonna look at what's already in place, and, if it works, I don't have any plans at this point to change it.
Something that Mr. Benton was considering doing on this question was making a pep band of kind of volunteer people, mainly from the horn sections, to play at football games and basketball games when the actual band couldn't be playing. So is that something you may be thinking of?
Definitely, yep. Yeah, absolutely.
So are you going to take over the percussion program, or is Mr. Strathman going to continue with that? Like, how's that?
I'm not 100% sure. I think it'll more depend on how Mr. Strathman is still involved, and I don't really know a whole lot of details on that, but I'm able to take on the percussion part. I can play drums. Probably can't play the quads really well. That's going to be about my limit, but snare drum, bass drum, mallet parts, cymbals, all that stuff, even a little bit of drum set. I definitely cannot play as well as the people I heard audition today. But at the Zoom Alt North Jazz Festival one year, my drummer did not show up to school that day, and I had to play. Yeah, and the clinician was Steve Houghton.
Really?
Yeah. Like, if you don't know that name, drummers, definitely need to look that up. And he looked at me and he was like, well, normally here's what I would tell the drummer in this point of view. And he's like, you need to be like doing some fills and some setups. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah. But he actually got me playing some right then and there. I was like, okay, move on.
Well, that's good, because the guys know here if that happened to us, we've been in real trouble.
And then right here.
Have you had any, because you said before Zoom Alt West before, what were some of the most successful percussion programs that you put in place that you probably did experimentally and then were successful?
Well, I mean, really, in terms of anything that was kind of experimental and new, we didn't really necessarily do a whole lot of that. We kind of set up as a traditional band program with, the marching band. We did a lot of competitions with the marching band. Tried to progress as the art of marching band progressed, and stay competitive and relevant with that. With jazz band, it really fluctuated from year to year, similar to here with scheduling and student involvement. There were years where we didn't have much more than a combo because it wasn't actually jazz band was a class out there. But like one thing that Mr. Benton and I had talked about is you kind of have to, whatever you have to make work. And so we did a lot of that. Most of the years we did have a full jazz band there. We would do like an extracurricular jazz band as well, because being in class there were students that couldn't take it because it was a class, so we'd have a couple going. We did like competitive drumline. I don't know if anybody's familiar with like winter drumline and winter color-coded flags. We did a lot of that over the years. The guitar program, back when we started that, it was a fairly new thing in this area to have a guitar program in school. Concert bands, same kind of thing. There were years where we had full concert bands, 2 or 3 of them. There were others where we only had one, and kind of, we made work what we had with the rest of the kids. A couple years where we had an abundance of saxophone players and percussionists, so our third concert band was actually a saxophone ensemble and a percussion ensemble. So just making the program work for the students so that they were getting something out of it regardless of what the instrumentation was that we had. Yeah. That good for now? Great. Awesome. Well, I'm sure they will have a school email set up for me at some point. you know, that email address, I check my email all the time, so definitely feel free to contact me. You know, however the school has set up for that, I don't know what it is with phone numbers, or if you would call up here to the school and leave messages for me, whatever works. Like people like to say, the door is always open. I will return calls, I will return emails. They may not be within minutes, but I generally try to, within 24 hours, anytime I get a contact from a parent, you know, get back and at least say, hey, I got your message. Let's find a time where we can talk about things and go from there.
Yeah, wave to the camera, wave.
Goodbye.